Hi, I'm Matt here in Michigan.
And I'm Randall here in Texas. Today, we're going to be talking about something that we've both been looking forward to: Star Wars, The Clone Wars Season 7. This is the end of the Clone Wars. We're not going to get any more. Matt, were you satisfied?
Yeah, I was satisfied. I think a lot of times you judge things on kind of like your on the ending, like how does it end? And to me, this had I would say a good ending. I mean, I think I was satisfied. It was good enough, I would say, especially like the last episode. Granted, everyone, we are definitely going to be talking about spoilers, so this is your warning now. If you have not watched this,
Spoiler
yeah,
alert.
spoiler alert. Even though we knew how this was going to end and stuff too, and I think that is why I think this was so well. It wasn't about hey, what's going to happen. Like we all know what's going to happen, but it's just giving like another view of what other people experienced as this happened. And this thing that I'm talking about is Order 66.
Execute Order 66.
Yes, Lord Sidious.
Yeah, that's really the last four episodes of the series are all one big story arc. They work together very, very well. And like you said, if you kind of judge it on how it ends and seeing things from a different view, a lot like Agents of Shield did, whereas like you saw the downfall of Shield in Captain America: Civil War, but you also get to see it from a completely different perspective. That's what they did here with this, where it's like you've seen episode 3 and you know how Order 66 goes down, and some people have seen Rebels and they know that Ahsoka Tano lives, but we want to see how it goes down from a completely different perspective. Those last four episodes were the best Star Wars movie that's come out in the last since 2005 probably.
Yes, for sure. And I'm glad you said that too, movie, because it definitely is set up to be like a movie. Like those four episodes together would be a good hour, 35 to 40-minute movie and stuff. And I think that's one thing that, when George Lucas first got together with Dave Filoni and they were doing the Clone Wars, that was a big thing that George was telling Dave was basically like, hey, you gotta look at this as like a movie. Kind of like put the series and stuff together as like a movie. Don't just think about it in a way of like, hey, we're just doing episodes. And that's the thing too. This is broken up into like three parts, like three miniseries. The first one, the Bad Batch, which is with a bunch of clones that have been like
Genetically altered, but they didn't come out quite right. So like one's super smart. Yeah, like I liked the Bad Batch. I thought that those first four episodes were pretty good.
I like the Bad Batch too. I thought it was good too. It was a good team, dynamic, having all their little different quirks and stuff, and then their strengths, come together and stuff. And it was, I thought that was a good story. The middle part, I don't think it was kind of a lull with
Some
Ahsoka and stuff.
filler.
It was a little bit of filler. I think the reason it felt like that too, and not as satisfying, is we knew what was coming up next too. Like the preview and stuff we're talking about, like what everyone wanted to see, like, hey, we're gonna get Ahsoka and Maul, we're gonna get the Siege of Mandalore, and we may get Order 66. I don't think that we really knew we were gonna get to it. A lot of people were kind of like, well, maybe we're just gonna go up to episode 3, but no, like this actually takes us in to Order 66 and to like the end of episode 3. So it doesn't just like, hey, we're gonna butt up to episode 3. We're actually gonna take you to like some events, through episode 3.
Yeah, so the last two maybe three episodes really happen in parallel with episode 3. They're just from a different perspective, a completely different, things going on basically. And it was really good. So this season overall kind of felt a lot like the series by itself. So the series starts, you have the original Clone Wars movie that came out in theaters, and it was very much made for kids. It was a very kid oriented film, and then the seasons kick off and it's still very kiddie, and then things kind of grow and they get more serious as the series progresses, as the target audience gets older. season 7 encapsulates that all by itself. It's like the Bad Batch, and here's everything that's going on with the Clone Wars, and just showing Anakin being cool and awesome, and showing the clones being cool and awesome. And then you have the Ahsoka alone episodes where it's very character driven, and you had that in like season 3 and 4, a lot of character driven arcs, and then it gets serious in the last 4 episodes. So season 7 by itself is like an encapsulation of season 1 through 6 and how it progressed and aged with its audience. That's something that I took away from it. But I totally agree with you. Like the stuff in the middle was a bit of a filler and kind of a letdown. And I thought, well, there may be just kind of gearing us up too much for Ahsoka to be in The Mandalorian. I took that back though. We had a conversation about it off camera where I was like, yeah, seems like Disney's just interested in filling in the gaps in their own chronology. I'm like, no, they did a much better job than I thought they were going to do.
Especially in the last 4 episodes, I think the writing was really well done. I mean, it really, it added on a little bit of those character building, and I think it did fill in a lot of questions. Like, first, like, Ahsoka just kind of fit. Like, it doesn't make sense for Anakin to have a Padawan and stuff, and, what was going on with Ahsoka, with Order 66, if Anakin and Ahsoka were so close or whatever, like, how did it happen and stuff? And, the last 4 episodes kind of show, like, hey, could Ahsoka and Maul have stopped, Anakin from turning to the dark side or whatever, because supposedly Maul says that was his whole reason of causing himself to seen a Mandalorian, basically letting his position be known, because he was hoping that Obi-Wan and Anakin would come. That way Maul could get his revenge on Obi-Wan and he could kill Anakin to stop him from becoming, Sidious's apprentice.
Darth Maul is one of the biggest mistakes from episode 1. Not that he's there, but that he was quote unquote killed off. And all of his character growth and everything that happens with him throughout the Clone Wars show that his character deserves so much better than what he got in that movie. In the last 4 episodes of this, and really in season like 5 and 6 with Darth Maul, he hates Darth Sidious. He hates that he was cast aside, that he was just a pawn in some greater thing. And his hate for Sidious goes so far that he just wants to ruin his plans. Maul is, like, not good, but he's also not, like, Darkseid Sith either. He's a very powerful Force user, and he just wants to sow chaos for Darth Sidious. He just wants to get back at Darth Sidious. That's his overriding goal. He's angry at Obi-Wan. He wants to get back at Darth Sidious, and now he's starting to see the plan. He's like, oh my god, I see what my old master was planning on doing. And it's even scarier than I had thought,
Yep, exactly. Brilliant and scary at the same time, too. I think one thing that was good, too, I'll go back. We said this before too. These last 4 episodes are like a movie, and they kind of feel a little bit different from the rest of the season 7. I think season 7 they were having like these bunch of like different stories that they wanted to bring forth together, so they put it into like a last season. The last 4 episodes, the art style, even though the same still in that Clone Wars art style, kind of feels different. The animations are a little bit different. We're getting closer to episode 3, just like the costumes and stuff like Obi-Wan and Anakin have. They're not wearing like the armored stuff that they wore earlier on in the series. They're in their Jedi robes and stuff. They're meant to look exactly like they were in episode 3. Even how like the clones are walking and stuff, especially in the last 2 episodes or whatever when they're on like the Star Destroyer, Republic Cruiser, Star Destroyer, whatever you want to call it at that time, they're walking more like stormtroopers, just kind of like the look to give you, it's constantly reminding you of the original trilogy and stuff too. And then, with Darth Maul and stuff, one thing I think was a great decision is actually bringing Ray Park back to help with the Darth Maul role. There is a battle scene between Ahsoka and Darth Maul, and it is actually Ray Park with motion capture. So when you see when you see Maul in those fights, you're actually seeing like Episode 1 Maul. You're seeing Darth Maul. So it's excellent. And they were saying too, the creators saying too how they brought to life, but so much. Well, I guess I can't speak too highly of the last 4 episodes, from like the art style to like the acting, the voice acting in it, to the music. Oh my goodness, the music. Like just like the dark undertones and stuff.
I think really, although the bulk of season 7 by itself is just good, you could kind of come from the end of season 6 when Ahsoka walks away from the Jedi and more or less just jump right into the last 4 episodes. You don't really need the Bad Batch, and you don't really need the Ahsoka alone stuff. You already know what her, motivation is for leaving the Jedi. If they just did that would have been. I mean, it's like, here's 4 episodes, and it's the end.
I wonder if that's what it could have been. Maybe it was originally going to be like, hey, we're going to make these 4 episodes like a movie, and then they're like, well, let's make this a season. There's some of these other stories, that we can add in to make it a full season. Yeah, I wonder about that.
Going into it, I was really worried about, like, hey, I know Ahsoka survives because she's in Rebels, and I know that Darth Maul survives because you see him at the end of Solo, which means he's alive all the way up till episode 4. Because Solo jumps right into, at the end, right into basically where episode 4 starts, or very close. And I was really worried about like them having their lightsaber battle, like, they're gonna have a fight, but I don't care because they're all gonna survive, and I know they're gonna survive, so there's no tension. And the writers very wisely said they're only going to fight when they have to. Really, the tension is what they're talking about. So they have a discussion. They're talking about it like, hey, Darth Maul's trying to convince Ahsoka not necessarily to come over to the dark side, but to come help him take out Anakin to get back at Darth Sidious and stop his plans for Anakin. And he doesn't really care about like the clone troopers. He doesn't care about Order 66 or the Jedi. He just wants to get back at Darth Sidious. So they have that discussion. And Ahsoka's like, no, I know Anakin. He would never do that. Spoiler alert, you're wrong, Ahsoka. And then they fight. And I'm like, okay. So the tension is not over whether or not one of them's going to kill the other or one of them's going to best the other. The tension is over their ideologies. And that's a lot more entertaining to watch than just another lightsaber battle that I know both of them are going to survive.
A lot of this is Ahsoka. Ahsoka is the focus. It really goes into more of Ahsoka's eternal battle about what she thinks about herself. What does she think about the Jedi? What does she think about this war that they're in? The best things are her and Maul and her and Rex in this. And I think they did a really good job, with both parts kind of thing. And I was kind of wondering when we see both of these characters in Star Wars Rebels, and I'm kind of like, all right, how are they gonna like put those together? Like, how do we go from like Ahsoka and Maul fighting to Ahsoka seeing Maul in Rebels and not immediately wanting to attack him and kill him kind of thing? And I think they bridged that gap pretty well with what they did with these characters, where it's kind of
because there's gray, and gray is better than just black and
Yep.
white,
Yep.
That's why.
Yep.
And it answers a question that Rebels puts forward.
Yep, I agree. Really good. Yeah, I definitely recommend, if you're a Star Wars fan, especially if you're a fan of Episode 3, I know there's people out there that's their favorite of the Star Wars series is Episode 3. Definitely watch this. I know someone is putting together like a supercut of like Episode 3 and the 4 episodes
That's a good idea.
of Clone Wars. I definitely want to check that out when that comes out. Want to see the work that they're putting together.
Now, this gets into a bigger discussion. I don't want to like sidetrack it all from season 7, but Dave Filoni should have been in charge of the sequel series. He needs to be like the Kevin Feige of Star Wars. You know, really. We discussed it in our call-up episode on episode 9 because it's such a mess, and the sequel series needed guidance. They needed someone that was just in charge, and they didn't have that. They didn't have a plan. Dave Filoni has a plan, and it shows. You know, like The Mandalorian works because Dave Filoni has a plan. The Clone Wars works because Dave Filoni has a plan for it. You know, he sees how things should go together, and I hope that for future Star Wars things that he's consulted and that they take a lot more care than they did with the sequel trilogy. In fact, just do the sequel trilogy again. Let's just do it all again.
I don't think we're getting a re-over.
Can we get a mulligan on the sequel trilogy, please? That shot was terrible. I shanked it. Let's try it again. I'll tee off again.
Yup, indeed. Yup.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely recommend this and stuff too. If you haven't seen this, definitely go see this. Even though we probably even though we did spoil it, I think it's still worth going back. If you have seen this, let us know what you guys think about this. I am very interested. I'm sure Randall's very interested to see what you guys have to say. If you guys like this review, be sure to give us a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get our new videos when they come out. And also check us out on social media. For now, I'm Matt in Michigan. See you guys.
And I'm Randall here in Texas. Everyone have a great day.